Sir, Sudhir sir. Sir, Sudhir sir. Ma'am, may I audible, ma'am?
మేడం వినిపిస్తుందా? మేడం హలో.
ఏమొస్తుంది?
ప్రత్యూష ఆడిబుల్ గా ఉందమ్మా.
Yes.
ఓకే, మ్యూట్ చేసేసి.
Sir, Sudhir sir. సార్ మాట్లాడండి సార్. హలో. వదిలేదు అది పెట్టుకుంది. హలో. హలో సుధీర్ సార్. హలో. మీటింగ్ కనపడలేదు మీ దాంట్లో చూడండి.
హలో.
హలో సార్, మీరు మాట్లాడండి సార్.
హలో.
ఎస్ సార్. సార్ ఆడిబుల్ సార్.
Hello. May I please know, like, is this audible?
Yes sir.
May I please know?
Yes sir, audible sir. Continue
is this
sir.
Audible?
Yes sir, audible sir.
Hello, someone?
Sir, audible sir.
Hello. Yeah, one. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
వినిపిస్తుందా మేడం?
Hello.
ఓకే మేడం, ఓకే మేడం, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, very good afternoon to one and all. Let me introduce myself. This is Sudhir Reddy, faculty member, Department of Commerce, and also heading Training and Placement Cell. A warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us for today's session, Introductory Concepts of Mutual Funds. Let me now invite Dr. Pratyusha to have few words about our college. Thank you, and over to you, madam.
Thank you, sir. First of all, heartily welcome to all the participants. Srivani Degree and PG College is located near NH44, Kakkalpalli Cross, Anantapuram, Andhra Pradesh. The college was established in 1997 by Srivani Educational Society. Correspondent is Dr. Neelam Narayanamma Garu, founder of Srivani Educational Society. At present, Srimati Y. Usharani Madam, Principal of Srivani Degree College, and Srimati Y.V. Nagarani Madam, Principal of Srivani PG College, are working together. Our college possesses great position in chronicle of training in all the areas of education and for the overall development of students. Srivani College is offering 4 graduation courses and 7 PG courses. Our management is committed to provide the best possible resources, that is NCC for girls and boys, NSS units, attached hostels for boys and girls separately. Free bus facility to all day scholars and hostlers. Placements training cell, spacious building in green and pollution-free environment. Well-equipped labs, qualified and experienced faculty, and good sports trainers. Our society is always motivated with a strong aim of service and quality education to the poor and rural area students. Thank you, sir. And over to Sudhir Reddy, sir. Hello, sir.
హలో, నేను ఇందాక మాట్లాడింది వినిపిస్తుందా మేడం? రైట్. ఓకే మేడం, ఓకే. హలో, thank you, madam. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. G. Haranath, sir. Well, let me introduce to you all Dr. G. Haranath, sir. So he is from Department of Commerce, Yogi Vemana University, Kadapa. Well, let me come up with his qualifications. He had his PhD, MBA Finance, MCom, MFT, MFM, IRPM, NCFM Mutual Funds, IC, WAI, Inter. Well, let me now come up with his work experience. He had almost 8 years, 5 months of association with CETAM. It's an autonomous institution. Since July 2009, he is a part of Department of Commerce, Yogi Vemana University, Kadapa. When coming to his administrative experience, He worked as coordinator, Department of Commerce for 2 years. He was coordinator, finance section, YVU for 6 years. He was a program officer, NSS, YVU for 3 years. His coordinator, dispatch section, YVU since 2018. As a member, Central Purchase Unit, YVU since 2018. His areas of interest are accounting, finance, and mutual funds. One student was awarded a PhD degree under him, and 2 are in progress. When coming to his papers, the papers which were presented, he has presented almost 63 papers in national conferences and 13 papers in international conferences. When coming to selected publications, UGC referred journals, they are almost 12. And the list of books published by him, or almost 11 books were published by him. Well, now, sir, hope you are getting me. My organization is delighted to have you as a speaker for the national webinar, Introductory Concepts of Mutual Funds. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hello, sir. It's not audible, sir.
Madam, now my voice is audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now audible, sir.
Okay, madam. Now I will start broadcast of this screen, madam. Hello.
Sir, if it is possible, you share, sir. Otherwise, I will share, sir.
Hello.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Continue, sir.
Nana.
Sir, I will share the screen, sir.
Madam, no problem. I am sharing my screen. Okay, it's okay. Is it visible?
Sir, sir, already I shared, sir. It's my screen, sir.
Okay.
You continue, sir.
So, okay. Now I have to continue.
Yes, sir. Continue, sir. Please, sir.
All right. Let me introduce you the concept of mutual funds. A mutual fund, many investors contribute to form a common pool of money, and this pool of money is invested in accordance with a stated objective, and the ownership of the fund is thus mutual. Here in a mutual fund, an investor invests in a mutual fund, and he is the owner of the fund, part owner of the fund. Suppose the minimum investment is for some schemes it is 500 or 5,000 or 1,000, and if you invest some amount like 1,000 rupees, and you will become the part owner of that fund, and your investment is in that mutual fund, you will be allotted the units. An investor can buy the shares from a company only when the company makes a share issue, or at other times a share can be purchased from another investor through the stock exchange if the share is listed, or a shareholder can sell the share to the company only when the company announces share buyback. At other times, he can sell the share to another investor through a stock exchange. Here, the price observed in a stock exchange is an reasonable estimate of the fair value of the share. Here, if you are buying a unit, and the investor gets the fund share or units, is only a matter of legal distinction, but a mutual fund shareholder, we call him as unit holder. Mutual fund unit holder is a part owner of the fund. And here many investors, they have the following advantages. Why you have to invest in mutual fund means because you can get the following advantages. Once you understand what are the advantages you get by investing in mutual funds, so that madam, next slide, madam. Madam, next slide. Portfolio diversification is one of the major advantage of mutual fund. Here, diversification means the investment of the amount in various different classes of assets, classes of shares or debentures or bonds or others. And here, mutual funds normally invest in a well diversified portfolio of securities. Each investor in a fund is a part owner of all the fund's assets, and this enables him to hold a diversified investment portfolio even with a very small amount of investment, and otherwise the investor needs to invest a large, huge amount of capital. Here, with this small amount, he can invest in various types of assets, a part, and he becomes a part owner of this asset. Here, this is the major advantage. With a few of rupees minimum amount, minimum investment like 5,000, if you invest in a mutual fund, and with that 5,000, you can you are investing in diversified assets like shares. Here, minimum 20 types of shares you are investing only with 5,000 rupees. And another advantage you will be getting from these mutual funds is professional management. Here, an investor, even though he may be having a huge amount or good amount of capital, he may not have the skills to invest in share market. So he can buy the mutual fund so that he can get the benefit from the professional management skills. That is, the fund manager who manages the funds, this fund manager has the professional skills to invest in the market. Here, the investment manager skills, along with the needed research into available investment options, here he ensures a much better return than what an investor can manage on his own. Only few investors have the skills and resources of their own to succeed, to get success in today's fast moving, global and sophisticated markets. Another advantage of this mutual fund is diversification of risk. Here, if you invest in a single share, what happens is there are chances that the company may not get the profits, or it may go into loss. Here, if you invest more than one company, two company, or if you invest more than 20 companies, definitely your risk of loss is reduced. Here, an investor in a mutual fund acquires a diversified portfolio, and no matter how small his investment is, the risk reduction is one of the important benefits, advantage of a collective investment vehicle, that is mutual fund. Here, another advantage is reduction of transaction cost. Here, if you invest in the stock market directly, you have to pay huge amount of brokerage and also transaction costs, and also you have to pay taxes. All these will be transaction costs will be reduced. Here, a direct investor bears all the costs of investing, like brokerage or custody of securities, and going through a fund, he has the benefit of economies of scale. That is, the funds pay lesser cost because of larger volumes, a benefit passed on to the investor. And this is one of the advantage. You can reduce your transaction cost. Another thing is liquidity. Here, liquidity means here you invest in a particular share, and here whenever you want money back, you can immediately get it. Here there are schemes. You can invest, and at any point of time, if you want to get back your amount, you can get it. Here there is investors hold shares or bonds. They cannot directly, easily and quickly sell in a market, in a stock market. Here, suppose if you are investing in a mutual fund, it is more liquid. An investor can liquidate the investment by selling the units to the fund if it is an open-end mutual fund, or by selling the units in the stock market if it is a closed-end fund. Next is advantage. One of the advantages, convenience and flexibility. One of the advantages, convenience and flexibility. Mutual fund management companies offer many investors a direct market investor cannot get. Here, within the same fund family, suppose you take SBI mutual fund, Here you can transfer, your investors can transfer easily from one scheme to the another scheme of their holdings. Their funds amount can be invested from one scheme to another scheme. You can easily transfer, and also you can invest or withdraw your main money at regular investments in most open-end schemes. Here, in mutual fund investment process has been made further more convenient. Today, you can buy or sell your investment, that is your mutual fund units, through internet, email, or using any other communication means, or you even you make a call so that it will be sold, or you can buy, and the amount can be transferred through internet. Here the investors also get the updated market information from the funds. The information about the schemes is also shared by the fund managers in a transparent manner with all material facts required by the regulators, that is to be disclosed to the investors. Another advantage, that is safety. The mutual fund industry is well regulated. All funds are registered with SEBI, SCBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, and this SEBI lays down rules to protect the investors. And thus investors also benefit from the safety of a regulated investment environment. Now, maybe whatever the advantage we have seen, and there are certain disadvantages also. Let me explain the disadvantages. Madam, next slide, madam. Yeah. No control over costs. Here, an investor has no control over the costs. He pays investment management fees. If you are buying any mutual fund, you have to pay the management fees. Here, why? Because you are paying management fees means the professional, the fund manager, the professional management, and the research, the skills, for that you are paying, and these fees are usually payable as a percentage of the value of your investment. And definitely a mutual fund investor also pays the fund distribution cost, which he would not incur in direct investment. So you have to be careful about what is the percentage of cost you are paying while you are analyzing different types of schemes, and you have to understand what is the cost charged by this mutual funds. And next, no tailor-made portfolios. Maybe there are so many types of schemes that are available, which we are going to discuss very soon after this disadvantages. Here, tailor-made means according to you, the investor requirement, the investment pattern is not designed like that. See, the investors who invest on their own, you can build your own portfolio of shares or bonds or other types of securities. Here, an investor can choose from different investment schemes, plans, options, and construct an investment portfolio that fits his investment objectives. Here, a large number of different types of schemes that are offered by the different mutual fund companies. You have to select among those schemes which suits to you. But here it is not, that's why it is not tailor-made. Maybe it may not fit you exactly what you want. Next, another disadvantage is managing a portfolio of funds. Here, sorry, availability of a large number of options from mutual funds can actually mean too much choice for the investor. He may need advice on how to select a fund to achieve his objectives. Quite similar to this situation when he has to select individual shares or bonds to invest in. Here, because here there are more than 2,500 schemes of the 44 mutual fund companies that are offered, and really it's a huge number. Here, out of these huge schemes, selecting a particular scheme and investing is a very difficult one. Yeah, that is one of the disadvantages. But that's why I'm trying to give you this. What are the types of funds? Here, if you understand the type of funds, here you invest usually in shares or bonds or debentures. And here the mutual funds, here there is mutual funds, they invest on behalf of you on shares or bonds or different types of securities. And as there are different types of investors, here different investors have different objectives. And here the investor wants to, the investor takes risks and want to invest only in equity funds. We have, or you don't want to take risk, or you want to invest only in bonds or debentures. That is also, it has some risk, and I don't want to take at all risk, and I want to invest only in government securities. Here there are a number of types of investors. Here, according to certain criteria, we are dividing according to different types of investors, which suits them. Here, I'm going to spend some time to explain you the types of funds. Here, if you understand the type of funds, and according to your investment objective, you can select a particular type of fund so that you can invest and you can get maximum benefit from it. Here, there are these funds, we can classify it as open-end funds and closed-end funds. Here, open-end fund means, is that an investor can sell and repurchase units at all times. There is no fixed time, any time, tomorrow or after or any other time, you can buy and sell the units, your investment. When the fund sells units, the investor buys them from the fund. When the investor redeems the units, the fund repurchases the units from the investor. Here, an investor can buy the units or redeem units from the fund itself at a price based on the net asset value. This is a very important concept, that is net asset value. What is net asset value? Net asset value per unit is obtained by dividing the amount of the market value of the fund's assets divided by the number of units outstanding. Here the fund's assets are very important. Fund's assets means here the investor is giving money to the mutual fund, and with that amount they buy the shares, bonds or debentures or government securities or commercial paper or certificate of deposits. All these are called, we call them as assets. And the market value of the asset is very important. Here the market value of the shares or bonds or debentures or all these money market instruments, here they will change, and every day you have to observe the NAV changes accordingly. If the market goes up or goes down, here the units value, the net asset value will be coming down or going up. And here the unit capital of an open-end mutual fund is not fixed, but it is variable. So when the sale of units exceeds repurchase, the fund increases the size. When repurchase exceeds sale, the fund shrinks. Here, if you take this closed-end funds, what is a closed-end fund? Here, there is a fixed time. If you want to invest in a closed-end fund, usually they'll issue a date, and from that date, the end date will be given, usually 30 days. And during this 30 days period only, you can invest in this particular mutual fund scheme. And once the time is over, you cannot buy the mutual fund, you cannot invest in that particular mutual fund. That means if you want to invest, you can, there are, for these closed-end schemes, there are secondary markets are available so that you can invest, buy or in the secondary market. After the offer closes, closed-end funds do not allow investors to buy or redeem units directly from the funds. So this is the basic difference between open-end funds and closed-end funds. In open-end funds, you can buy the units, that is, you can invest at any point of time. In closed-end fund, a fixed time is there for 30 days, and during that period you can apply and you can get it, and other times you cannot buy the fund. And if you come to the another type, that is load and no load funds. Here load means what? Here load means certain expenses. Here these expenses, if you are investing in any mutual fund scheme, that mutual fund companies spend expenses on marketing of that scheme. Not only on marketing, it spends it has some expenses, and that expenses that is spent by the mutual fund company can be recovered in at the time of investors entry into the scheme. When an investor buy the units, at that time it can by deducting some amount from that particular scheme by according to his contribution ratio, or by at the time the investor exits from the scheme. If the investor is selling the units at that time, as a percentage of his contribution, that amount can be deducted from the Hello.
Hello, sir. Sir.
Madam, please share the
Yes, sir.
PPT.
Yes, sir.
Here, yes, we are discussing
Yes, sir,
about
sir,
this. Load. Okay.
Sir, it's visible, sir.
Yeah, visible, madam.
Okay, sir. Carry on.
Madam, the previous slides, these debt funds.
Okay, sir. Types of funds, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is load funds and no load funds.
Okay.
Here, there are certain expenses that are involved in issuing of the particular scheme that will be charged to the investor at the time of entry or exit, or during the holding of the units. It will be charged. Here we call it as entry load or exit load. At the time of buying, these expenses are charged. We call it as entry load, or at the time of exiting the scheme, you will be charged. We call it as back end load or exit load. Or this amount can be charged for a specific period every year, specific amount every year. We call it as contingent deferred sales charge. Based on this load, here no load means you will be charged no expenses. Here these are the two different types of, that is load funds and no load funds. And another type is tax exempt versus non-tax exempt funds. Usually when a fund invests in tax exempt securities, it is called tax exempt fund. When a mutual fund invests in a tax exempt securities, it is called a tax exempt fund. Here, open-end equity-oriented mutual fund schemes are tax-exempt investment avenues, while other funds are taxable. Here in India, both the dividends and the long-term capital gains from their fund investments are currently tax-free. Only here, that is, if you hold this particular share, units within a short period of time, that is less than 12 months, it is taxable. Here, based on the whether it is tax exempt or non-tax exempt, these two types are also important. Those who are want to invest. Here we have different categories like money market or liquid funds. There are certain investors whose objective is to invest for a short period, and they want to take only less risk, or they don't want to take any risk. Okay, that's why here this money market funds are here we call it as very risk is very low, and liquid funds invest in debt securities of a short-term nature. That means securities which have a maturity period of less than a year. The short-term, that is interest-bearing instruments, invest these funds. These include treasury bills issued by the government, and also certificate of deposits issued by the banks, and also commercial papers issued by the companies. The major advantage of this money market fund is it is liquidity and safety of the principal. Here it is very liquidity means at any point of time, if you want to get your money, you can get back, and also the safety of the principal. Since this is invested, these money market funds are invested in treasury bills, certificate of deposits, commercial papers. There is a safety to your principal amount, and that the investors can normally expect from this short-term investments. Though interest rate risk is present, the impact is low as the investment instruments maturities are very short. Interest rate risk means the chance of not getting the interest, but here it is government securities, and this certificate of deposits issued by the banks or commercial papers issued by the banks, because it's a very short period, you can get the amount back easily, and the risk is very low. You can get the even interest also. Here these money market funds. Here, if the investor wants to invest and get return, small return, these money market instruments are very good. Next, if you come to the gilt funds, gilt means government securities. Here, gilts means government securities with medium and long-term maturities. Here, these gilt securities are very important. Here, an investor, if you don't want to take at all any risk, here, if you buy these gilt funds, here these your funds are invested in these government securities, typically over 1 year. 1 year instruments being we have these government securities called dated securities like bills. Treasury bills mature usually less than a year. That is 90 days, 180 days, or 360 days. Since the government, these funds have little risk and hence offer protection of the principal. Gilt securities, like all debt securities, face interest rate risk. Debt securities prices fall when interest rate levels increase. Investors have to understand the potential net these funds on account of changes in the economy. Here, usually the interest rate, whenever the meeting was done, and this type of funds is very important fund. We go to the debt funds. Madam, next slide, please. Madam, next slide. Yeah. Here, if we discuss after after we discuss the funds, here when compared to the risk of debt to the equity funds, debt funds is less than equity funds. Again, in debt funds, income funds. Why it is called income funds means if you invest in this income funds or debt funds, you will be getting a regular income. And here again we have different types in this debt funds, like diversified debt fund. Here, as the term indicates, diversified. Here, a debt fund that invests in all available types of debt securities that is issued by the entities, companies across all industries and different sectors is, we call it as a properly diversified debt fund. While debt funds are high income and less risk, then to recognize securities are subject to risk default issuer on payment of interest or principal. Here there is risk. If the company went into insolvency, you cannot recover. You cannot recover the interest has the benefit of reduction of risk through diversification. Here, diversified debt funds means you are not only investing in a single company, you are buying the bonds or debentures of various companies from